Welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to learn how to draft a pencil trouser. This trouser style is very versatile and can be styled with any way you please. And so I'm marking out my waist to hip measurements. This is super important. You need to place your tape rule on your waist and measure out how long it is to your hip. And on that hip line, I am marking out my hip measurements divided by 4. Do not forget to include 1 inch sewing allowance, or if you want more than 1 inch. So I have marked out my waist to hip, and now I'm marking out my waist to crotch. Now when you're drafting out a trouser pattern, the crotch is super important. You can get this by sitting down on a seat and placing your tape rule on your waist and marking it out to where your bum is on the seat. So what I'm doing is marking a straight line from the hip measurement I marked on the hip line, and once I mark a straight line, I will go back to my crotch line now and add about 2.5 inches from the hip measurement we marked out earlier. And this is how I get my crotch curve, which is similar to the armhole curve. And so I curve it into the hip measurement we drew out on the hip line to get our crotch curve. Some use 2.2 inches, but you can use 2.5 for ease and like comfort at the bottom of your crotch. And so once we get that, I would go down by about 4 inches from the crotch line and mark out my thigh measurements. Now you can get this by putting your tape around your thigh and dividing your thigh measurement into 2. Do not forget to add your sewing allowances. Then depending on what you want, if you are using a stretchy material, you might not need to add a sewing allowance, especially if you want it to be fitted. But then if you are sewing with a material that is not stretchy, you might still need to add about half an inch to the 1 inch in order for you to have that ease, so it will not be too tight and it will not be too free. So I am connecting my crotch curve into the thigh measurement that I drew there, and that is how we get a straight line from that place we marked out our thigh measurements down to our ankle. So it's a straight pencil trouser. So once we do that, I will still draft the bottom pattern so we can see how straight it would be down to the bottom. But right now I'm going to the waist and I'm taking my tape rule and I'm marking from the edge of the hip line we drew initially, and I'm marking out my waist measurement divided by 4, including your dart allowance if you want and your sewing allowances. For the dart, it's not necessarily compulsory, like I've said earlier, if you're using a stretchy material. But if you are not and you want a dart to cinch your waist, you mark out your bust pattern, your bust to bust measurement divided by 2. So let's say it is 8 divided by 2, 4. You mark that out from the edge and getting your dart. So for your waistline, you mark out that waist measurement and curve it into that hip line. So on that hip line, you will make a straight curve that will be slanted forward into your waist measurement. That is how you connect from your waist into your hip measurements. If you were to make an elastic waistband, you would not need to mark your waist measurement, as this exact measurement that is used for your hip would be used for the waist. Then you would use your elastic to get your waist measurements, because if you use your exact waist measurement to cut out your trouser pattern and then you place an elastic, it won't go past your hip line. So I am using this as a guideline to show you how we are connecting from the crotch curve that we did into the leg pattern that we use our thigh measurement for. And that way you just draw a straight line, because it's a straight pencil trouser. It is just a straight line from your crotch curve connecting it to the full length, which is your ankle. Some might want it 3/4, and so you might not necessarily get to the ankle, but based on your desired length. And and on the other side, as you can see here, I am drawing out a straight line as well to give us an idea on how the pattern would be. This is drafted on fold, so when you're cutting your material, you cut it on fold and then you open it up. That way you get your full trouser pattern. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.